Hello friends, welcome back to my channel. How are you doing all? I hope you're doing well, staying healthy, enjoying life and must be planning to improve your life. Here we are to do so. Here daily we read a chapter of a novel to develop reading habit to improve our English, including reading, writing, speaking, vocabulary at the same time enhancing our knowledge. As we know, reading is the best practice to develop all these things, which help us in many ways. And reading could be the one of the good hobby to make a change in ourselves. As we have heard from many prominent personalities that books change their life, add value, widen their knowledge. We can live other life by reading a book and get all those experience and learn from their mistake. So why to commit same mistake if we can learn from them and improve our life? So join me in the journey to become best version of ourselves. Before starting, I would love to hear your thought in comment section. Remember to like, share with your friend to change their life as well, and don't forget to subscribe my channel. Press the bell icon for daily updates. Today we are going to read part 22 of this novel, that is Your Dreams Are Mine Now. It is written by Ravinder Singh. So let's read this and see what is there for us and what we can learn from this chapter. But if you haven't visited previous video, you must watch that. So let's start and see what is there for us.
22. Did the sun rise from the west today? They were pulling his leg. Arjun's new avatar had instantly become the talking point the moment he drove into the North campus in the morning. They had all gathered at their daily spot at Shafi's tea shop to wish Arjun on his birthday. Rahima too was a part of the gathering. She hadn't forgotten Arjun's birthday and knew where to find him. So on her way to the campus in the morning she stopped at Shafi's tea shop and was amused to find a brand new version of Arjun, though she had taken a few seconds to identify him. When the people surrounding Arjun asked Rahima her opinion on Arjun's new look, she was at first in two minds. She said that he certainly looked different. Someone in the crowd shouted, Rahima Didi, don't be diplomatic. Tell the truth. Kya na banu, bhaiya? Rahima inquired, wondering what she should not be, unable to understand the meaning of diplomatic. He is certainly looking different today. That we all know. But tell us whether he is looking good or bad. Rahima understood this time and spent one full minute analyzing Arjun's new look. Then she finally started shaking her head and a smile came on her face. She said, Clean shave ka is t-shirt mein zabardast lag rahe hai. Ekdum hero maja feek. Clean shaven and in a t-shirt. He is looking as dashing as a hero. Everyone laughed, clapped and cheered at that. But the show was not over. In the next 10 minutes the group had asked almost every passerby they knew to vote on Arjun's changed looks. Being the birthday boy, Arjun could not do much about becoming the object of their fun. This was the standard practice on campus, and the rumor that he had sacrificed his beard and kurta for the sake of his girlfriend added fuel to the fire. As per their little survey, 6 out of 9 people had voted in favor of Arjun's new look. The survey included Rahima, Shafi, two of Shafi's helpers, a rickshaw puller, two lecturers, and two girls from the college basketball team who were there after playing a morning game. Shafi was one among the three who believed his clean shaven look took away the macho factor he possessed. The rickshaw puller, who was a regular at the tea shop, agreed. One reason to approve of the bearded look was that they both had beards themselves and they felt cheated, as if Arjun had left their clan. One of Shafi's helpers followed his employer's opinion. However, since it was Arjun's birthday, and Shafi was a man with a big heart, he announced that the tea was on him that day. He also offered the group the new cookies that his distributor had supplied him the night before. Meanwhile, back in her room, Rupali had received the news of her boyfriend's makeover. Saloni, who too was there along with the other basketball players, had secretly clicked Arjun's picture and messaged it to her roommate. She had called him her lover in her message, Tera Majnu. Rupali was overjoyed to see that Arjun had kept his promise. A day before, over the phone she had insisted that she would like to see Arjun clean shaven and in an attire that is anything but a kurta. She wanted the birthday boy to look different and special than his usual self. To her surprise, Arjun had agreed. But in return, he had demanded that she too wear something of his choice. Rupali agreed, but her agreement was based on Arjun's fulfillment of his promise first. She liked how he looked on her cell phone and was excited about seeing him with her own eyes. However, as she was yet to finish her pre-reads and complete her pending assignment, she had to contain her excitement. It was later in the day, during the break, that she finally got to see him. It was at the party meeting that had been called at the college rooftop to discuss the social media campaign they had talked about a few days back. Rupali was all smiles the moment she spotted Arjun among the party members. Her arrival made everyone turn around, including Arjun, who stopped in the middle of what he had been discussing. She could not help but blush as she walked towards him. Ladies and gentlemen, meet the lady behind this man Arjun 2.0. Prosenjit announced. Everyone laughed. Some clapped as well. Even though it was an awkward moment for him, Arjun was waiting for Rupali's reaction, unaware that she had already seen his picture. Rupali laughed and joined in with the group. When she stopped right in front of Arjun, she complimented him, saying, "Aap aki lag rahe ho. You are looking nice." She knew people would tease her. But by then, the party members had become like family to her. She didn't mind facing the whistles, the hooting, and the cheers. She knew she had to be honest and appreciative of what her guy had done for her. "Guys, Arjun passed the test," Matab shouted. "But Rupali, how did you get this out of him?" Prosenjit asked. "He asked me to fulfill one of his requests. I agreed on the condition that he first fulfill my request. His request was so dear to him that he agreed to accept mine," Rupali answered. "And now you have to keep your promise," Arjun reminded her. Rupali nodded. "That's nice, Rupali. There are a couple of things I want Arjun to do. Maybe I will get in touch with you offline. You can put them as your next requests," Prosenjit mocked. "Sale Kamini," Arjun lightheartedly flung out his hand and gripped Prosenjit's neck. Trying to release himself out of Arjun's grip, Prosenjit shouted, "Guys, let's do it now or I'm going to die." In no time, someone grabbed his legs and lifted Arjun up. Someone else grabbed his arms and some others lifted him from the back. It happened so quickly that Rupali and two other girls in that gathering barely got a chance to pull themselves out of the circle. For the next couple of minutes, Rupali watched Arjun's body being tossed up in the air as he got his birthday bumps. They began counting. Arjun screamed, he yelled, he abused. But it all got drowned in the mad screams of his friends. His body swung up and down in the air, again and again till they counted to 21. Rupali felt pity for Arjun, but could not do much about it. Only in the end, when the bumpy stretch of the birthday celebrations was over, did she inquire, "Are you all right?" The innocent concern was bound to be taken lightly as everyone laughed. "All right, folks, shall we now get down to the work for which we had all gathered here? I mean, apart from giving me birthday bumps," Arjun reminded everyone. The next 15 minutes, in contrast to the previous ones, involved serious discussions that were packed with questions and answers. The party members brought in their findings and laid out a draft of an action plan. Rupali made bullet points of the important items and wrote them on the last pages of her notebook. Together they decided the name of the Facebook page that they were going to create and what the profile would look like. Someone had already created a Gmail ID in the name of their party. The plan was to use the same ID everywhere, including a YouTube video that they were supposed to create. They discussed the nature of the content and the frequency with which they were going to update posts. The technicalities of how they were going to expand and reach out to the entire DU, college by college, were also covered. For the day, the main agenda was a video that Mahab wanted to shoot in the evening. He had called everyone to meet outside the college on the campus lawns. If everything goes right, we will upload this video by next Sunday, he had said. It was little over break time, when they all called off the meeting and dispersed to attend their respective classes. Just before leaving, Rupali reminded Arjun that they had planned to meet Tenzing as well. Arjun confirmed the time. He wanted to finish the conversation before Mahab's video shoot. Rupali confirmed the venue. Music room it was. What bothers me the most is this word, chinky. That day when your party members disrupted our setup, this is what they called me. No matter what I do, as an individual, I don't have an identity. None of us from the Northeast has an individual identity. We are just chinky. All of us, Tenzing said, his voice full of pain and despair. Arjun and Rupali, who sat on a table in front of Tenzing, heard him as he continued to speak. This is a serious mindset issue that stretches beyond the walls of Dew. You know how much more difficult it is for one of us to find a house on rent in this city, just because of our appearance. Looking at our eyes and our hairstyle, some call us Chinese. This really hurts. We are as much Indian as you are, he said, pointing to both of them. After a moment's silence, when Arjun had absorbed all that Tenzing had spoken, he said, I understand what you are saying. And I agree that this is a mindset issue. Perhaps for a long time the rest of India was never bothered enough to even consider this as an issue, forget addressing it. Yeah, Rupali began. Both Arjun and Tenzing looked at her. And even if this issue extends beyond the walls of this university, it must be addressed at least in the university. Maybe then we can take the solution to the world beyond due as well. At the least, we must practice inclusivity of every ethnicity on our campuses, she said. But you know what? She added, instead of finding a solution, I am wondering how it came into existence in the first place. I mean to say, why is it that we tend to sideline the Northeast and detach the people from this geography? As if they are not a part of us. Tenzing shrugged, glad to see someone is at least bothering to think about it. You know, during the last semester break, a good number of us had discussed this. A group of us were on the same train till Kolkata, after which we were supposed to change trains to our native states in the Northeast. Here is what we felt. You see, it all starts at the school level. While our history books cover everything that happened in this country from Jammu and Kashmir to Tamil Nadu, they rarely talk about a detailed history of the northeastern states. People never get to know about us when they are introduced to the rest of India. Our history is simply missing in those books. Therein lies the neglect. The perception that we aren't as important as the other states of this country. The geographical knowledge of us Indians is so skewed that we will know the capital of Punjab, but won't know the capital of Mizoram. Forget the capitals, a majority doesn't even know the names of the northeastern states. I don't live in a hostel. 2 years back, before I moved into my rented apartment, when I told my landlord that I am from the Northeast, he asked me which country that was in. This is the reality, such a huge lack of awareness. There are seven sister states in the Northeast, besides the Himalayan state of Sikkim. How many times have you seen a face from the Northeast on the cover of a magazine representing a common Indian or, for that matter, doing a TV commercial? How many actresses are there in Bollywood from this part of the country? Hollywood has accepted Chinese actors, but in our own country, Bollywood is yet to take people from the Northeast into consideration. People believe that we are distinguished from the rest of the Indians because of our looks and our accent. But if you think deeper, that's not true. Because had it been about looks, a Sikh with his turban and his beard is far more distinguishable than me. In this country, where language and accent change every 50 kilometers, how does it matter what my accent is? People discriminate against us because they are not familiar with us. They are familiar with the culture of a Punjabi and a Tamilian but aren't that familiar with ours. And some would also argue, rightly so, that why cluster our states as Northeast? Why not remember our states with their own names? But to arrive at that level, the country should first know about us. The sad truth is that we are for sure legal citizens of India, but unfortunately, we are not accepted as cultural citizens of India. Tenzing sighed. His words echoed in Arjun's ears. He was stunned to understand the gravity of the issue. Every word he had said was an eye opener for Rupali. It definitely influenced the way she looked at the issue. The in depth insights that Tenzing had provided, and, especially, the way he had delivered that little speech had left Arjun thinking. The impact of it was such that Arjun requested Tenzing to consider his invitation to hold an interactive session with the rest of his party members at the next meeting. He also insisted on inviting a few of his friends from the Northeast. I can do so, but not in the capacity of a music club member, but as a student from the Northeast who is fighting for our identity in due, Tenzing said. Yes, I understand that, Arjun replied. Even after that intense meeting, the interactions of that long day were not yet over for Rupali and Arjun. They had to meet again on the campus lawns for Mahab's shoot. But before that, Rupali had to fulfill the wish Arjun had made. As decided, they had all gathered on the college lawns. In walked a young girl in a stunning white lacy sleeveless top and brown leggings. Her hair had been blow dried to fall in soft curls around her face, and from under the big black sunglasses you could only see a soft mouth with pink claws. She was wearing long silver earrings and brown high heeled shoes. She walked slowly towards them. Instantly, all eyes were on her. When the boys in the group saw this glamorous young woman walking towards them, they began to wonder who she was. Only when Rupali joined them and took off her sunglasses did their jaws drop. I don't believe this, Mahab said. Yeah, we don't either, murmured others with eyes and mouths wide open in disbelief. Arjun stared at her and then walked closer, his eyes looking at her admiringly. It was clear that he wasn't able to say anything. My goodness, Rupali. You look hot. Shipra, one of the party members, complimented. What are you guys up to? Giving us surprises. First Arjun appeared like a different person, and now you in this glam avatar. Prosenjit said loudly. I had to keep my promise. Rupali smiled seductively and looked at Arjun, who still seemed shocked. But your transformation is far bigger than that of Arjun's. Straight from the sorry, but Behanji type to a Delhi girl. What do you say, guys? Prosenjit shouted. There was a loud cheer all around them. A lot of hooting and whistling. Rupali smiled shyly as she stood next to Arjun, who was now beaming, looking quite proud of his girlfriend. She received a lot of compliments on how she was able to carry off the Western look. Rupali secretly thanked Saloni for this. Had it not been for her, she wouldn't have been able to put this look together. Meanwhile, Arjun kept happily staring at her. He couldn't take his eyes off her in that body hugging, figure revealing top. Through the strappy neckline, he could see her chiseled neck and collarbones. He gazed at the smooth skin and the delicacy of her shoulders that were otherwise always hidden behind the suits that she wore. He didn't forget to notice that Rupali was still wearing the pendant that he had gifted her on New Year's Eve. She never took it off. He wanted to touch her, feel her skin. He wanted to hold her, kiss her, soak in the heady aroma of her perfume. He wondered how a girl, whom he had till then admired for being a mature, intelligent person with a good heart, could also have such a sensual side to her. And how powerful was his attraction too. Her. Arjun tried to control his thoughts but couldn't. Rupali had ignited something else in his heart. Suddenly, Madhab shouted and brought Arjun out of his daze. He wanted to shoot in natural light before the evening got darker. It was a new Karnataka, a street play, that he had thought about and wanted to capture on his handy-cam. The scene was that of a guy and a girl in love who had just got admitted to the same college in due. He chose three couples from his team. Rupali and Arjun became his final choice for their real-life love story. He explained the first scene to everyone. The couple was supposed to lie down on the lawn and look into each other's eyes as they talked about how they visualized spending the next few years of their lives in college. In the next portion of the video, he wanted to showcase the contrast between their dreams and the ground reality. However, today was about the first part. The second part he had planned to shoot on another day, in another setting. Mata asked everyone to take their positions and perform the act together. He said they should keep talking normally while he walked a full circle with his camera to capture the scene. Everyone, including those who were going to act, was excited. Most couples wondered what they would talk about. Only Rupali and Arjun weren't too bothered about it. Matab had given them all a few lines. He was not going to record the voices that evening. There was a voiceover he planned to do while editing the video. Thank you for keeping your promise, Arjun whispered as he looked into Rupali's eyes. Rupali smiled. They were lying on the slightly prickly grass of the lawns. The gentle sunlight was streaming through the clouds and on their bright faces. Rupali's pendant intermittently flashed the falling sunlight and playfully blinded Arjun's eyes. Gosh, you look beautiful. Rupali glowed with happiness. Finally, her Arjun had said what she wanted to hear. She found it difficult to continue looking into his eyes. She knew it was a different moment, different from the times they had met before. She knew that Arjun was looking at her in a way that he had never done before. Secretly, she wanted him to notice more of her and not her clothes. Suddenly, she realized Mahab was saying something. He had been shouting at Arjun initially, and when the lost in his girlfriend guy didn't hear him for the third time, Mahab called out Rupali's name. She heard it the second time. Thank you so much, Rupali, for finally listening to me. What are you guys up to? Mahab shouted. The others continued to make fun of Arjun, who had completely missed the point. When Arjun turned and looked at Mahab, the latter asked him, You are lost, my friend. What are you up to? Please turn towards your left and be aware that I am here. All right. All right. Here we are trying to give you a realistic shot and you are shouting at us. Arjun said, following his instructions. He was taking the whole thing quite lightly. Yes, this is fine now. Look at Rupali and continue talking, Mahab shouted, looking at the screen of his handycam. Mahab continued to shoot them for the next few minutes. After the entire shoot was done and while reviewing his recording, he looked at Arjun and Rupali and said, You guys have an amazing chemistry. No. Hold me like this. Yes. This way. Perfect. It's the third and final night of the college annual fest. The lawns outside the administrative block bustle with students enjoying and cheering a live band of Bollywood singers. About half an hour back, the college's music club had received a phenomenal response when Tenzing and Rupali had sung a peppy number, Masti Ki Pathshala, a song that had unofficially become Dew's anthem. Even though the original number didn't have a female singer, Tenzing's idea of experimenting with a female voice had worked brilliantly. It was the final number and they had dedicated it to the students and life at Dew in general. The boys and girls in the audience had loved it and they showed their enthusiasm for it by clapping their hands in the air, in sync with the rhythm of the song. Since almost everyone knew the catchy lyrics, the crowd sang along. It was fun and they ended the song to loud cheers of once more. But that was half an hour back. Now that the star attraction of the night, the Bollywood band, had begun its show, she slipped out of the gathering to enjoy Arjun's company. Evenings like these, once full of festivities, enhances the feeling of being in love and makes it even more joyful. Along with the celebrations with friends, giving them the slip to catch a few private moments with that special someone makes the experience delightfully adventurous. From behind her, Arjun slips his hands around Rupali's waist, just the way she suggested a second back. He interlocks them around her navel. She is wearing a white v-neck cardigan over a white collared top. A pair of blue denims complete the look. That's her music club's dress code for the night's performance. Aren't you afraid that someone might turn up here and see us? Arjun gently asks as he rests his chin over her shoulder. They are looking down at the gathering that is enjoying the live band. No, she says and turns her head to face him. From the rooftop, the view of the ground is electrifying and spectacular. Are you? She asks, wondering if he is scared that someone might see them. The music, the songs, and the thumping of the crowd continues in the background of what looks like a relaxed conversation. A smile erupts at the corner of his lips and takes sufficient time to flourish further. He shakes his head to brush away Rupali's concern and then kisses her forehead. She looks into his eyes. She trusts him and turns her head back to the gathering 5 levels below them. No one speaks for a while. They are enjoying the music. They are enjoying being together in that moment. It's a beautiful night, isn't it? Rupali says. Yes, it is, Arjun replies in a half whisper. He kisses her neck while he speaks. It tickles her and she giggles. Then he nuzzles her neck and he can feel her suddenly tense up. They are so close. He looks up at the sky to distract himself. What happened? Rupali asks. She can sense that he has moved away a bit. He takes a moment and then softly says, Winters are bidding goodbye. You noticed. Strangely, he sounds sad when he says so. Rupali smiles. Yes, they are. Arjun doesn't say anything and rests his chin back on her shoulder. In response, she puts her hand on his cheek and pats it affectionately. And you don't want them to end. Arjun knows that it doesn't matter what he wishes for and that seasons will change when their time comes. Yet half-heartedly he says, I wish they wouldn't, and then adds, but how does it matter? Rupali smiles at his response. She turns her head for the second time, this time to look at Arjun's unhappy face. Her hand is still over his cheek. It matters to me, she says, holding out a smile. But why don't you want them to end? Arjun takes another moment to frame his thoughts. These winters are special. Our love story began with them. He says and slips his hands in between her cardigan and her top. Then he sighs and Rupali can feel his breath behind her ear. It makes her feel warm. She runs her hands over her cardigan to feel Arjun's hand inside it. True, these winters are special and I will never forget them, she slowly begins. But Arjun, just like these winters, I want to see and enjoy other seasons with you. I look forward to them. Hum. You are right again, Arjun says. Suddenly he is looking at things differently, just like she showed him to. He realizes that he isn't sad about the ebbing winters anymore. And just like Rupali, he too is looking forward to the spring that's about to surround their love.